Hi, I'm Michelle Chalfant, psychotherapist, holistic life coach, and human just like you, learning to navigate life's challenges. With over 25 years experience, I teach people how to get healthy using the adult chair model. The adult chair model is where simple psychology meets grounded spirituality, and it teaches us how to become healthy adults. From anxiety and depression to codependency and relationship issues, you can use the adult chair for just about anything. Each week, I share practical tips, tools, and advice from myself and a wide range of experts on how to get unstuck, how to live authentically, and how to truly love yourself, all while sitting in your adult chair. Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. I am Michelle Chalfant. Happy, can you believe it? Thanksgiving to all my United States people. This is a little crazy that we are 1 week away from Thanksgiving. Shocking. Yeah. How's everybody doing? Have you hopefully not stepped into holiday stress yet? Let's stay connected. Let's stay in balance. You know, we've got the 30-day journaling challenge going on. And I also want to invite you guys. You know what? If you would like support and you want to stay connected to yourselves all throughout the holidays, come join us in the membership, theadultchair.com/membership. We are doing a whole month on embracing our unique selves, really owning who we are. And yes, starting to put it out there in a really beautiful way. You've missed nothing. Everything has been recorded. We still have some live things going on. So come join us at theadultchair.com/membership. The thing that I love about this group is the community. It's such a great community. And plus you learn a lot. And you get to have what I call self-discovery work every week that keeps you connected to yourself. So this is the way to go through the holidays. So we'd love to have you. Yeah. So last week we talked about triggers. And I know you guys enjoyed that because I've already gotten a lot of feedback on that. This week, we're talking about, how about this? Conscious parenting, but also when children trigger us and how it reveals our wounding. Yeah. How about that? Yes, our little munchkins tend to trigger us, but really it's a reflection of things that we need to work on. And we're talking today all about this with my very special guest, Dayna Ciarfalia. Dayna is a transformational coach who helps mamas cultivate deeper relationships with their children and themselves through breaking unhealthy patterns of behavior and supporting them in parenting more consciously. Dayna has a deep background in psychology, communication, and coaching within the realms of personal development, career coaching, and conscious, respectful parenting. She offers her coaching via one-on-one and group offerings and soon to launch retreats in the Phoenix area. Let me just tell you, Dayna and I had a great conversation all about these things. And of course, and then some, because the conversation just goes and goes, as you know. So I hope you enjoy this show. And here we go with Miss Dayna Ciarfalia. So welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast, Dayna.
Hi.
I'm going to say this last name because I'm Italian and I should be able to say this, right? Dayna Ciarfalia.
There you go.
See, yeah. I did it right.
Yeah,
I love it. So happy to have you on today. We fell in love on Instagram.
Yeah. Like so many of my current loves.
Right? I know. I love it. I love it. So we found each other on Instagram and I just loved everything. I love everything that you talk about as well. And I was like, I really would like to have this woman on my show to talk about parenting. And what specifically caught my eye is one of my favorite topics is triggering. And you had triggering with parents. And I was like, oh baby, we're going to do this show. I was so excited. So yay. So yeah. So thank you. We have a lot to talk about today. So, let's just jump right in. So tell us, you talk about conscious parenting which I believe in and I love. Tell us, how do you define that? What does that mean?
Absolutely. So, an overarching principle of conscious parenting is simply that we understand fully as parents that how we show up, what we do, the things we say, the things we believe, everything about us impacts our relationship with our children, how we raise them, and the things that we teach them. So, as conscious parents, we don't view our children as beings to be controlled or taught or raised, if you will. We see them as separate beings that we are here in relationship with to support them in becoming the person they are supposed to be, whatever that is. So
Mm,
our goals are not to grow them into this shape of a human we want with our intentions. It's to partner with them in a relationship to help them become who they want to be.
very beautiful. And how many parents do this well?
Oh gosh. I don't know. So I don't even do it well. So, that's the challenge of it.
It's such a challenge. I agree. And I'm laughing at myself as included in that because it's so hard, I think, when we see our children and maybe the potential, let's say, that they have, whether it be with a sport or dance or drawing or whatever the heck it is. We, of course, say we want to mold them into this because they're too young to see it. And what do you say to that?
Yeah.
Is that conscious parenting?
No, but the thing about it is when we turn that around and examine like our belief systems around our children and what it means for our kids to grow up and have outcomes that we want because it will look good for us and feel good for us. And we have all of these perhaps unconscious belief systems about what it means to grow up, what it means to be a human, and how life should be lived. And oftentimes we unintentionally put that on our kids. And so we can have all of those internal wants and desires for our children, and we can even communicate those. But when we start to push those on our kids without listening to what our children want, that's where it becomes an issue. Because of course we're going to have all of these wishes and dreams for our kids and what they become, and that's not wrong. That's human nature. But it's when we really start to push on them instead of listening to what they want that it becomes unconscious parenting, if you will.
So why is it so impactful to be a conscious parent? Like, why is it important and impactful? Tell us
So
more about that.
it's a lot of it comes down to the blueprint that our children have created in terms of how the world works and how they relate with the world around them. And that blueprint is created typically within the first 7 years of life. And how we respond to them, how we react to them, how we model being a human in front of them becomes the blueprint for how they are going to be in the world. And so if we are unconscious about how we show up, about how we communicate, about the belief systems we are putting onto our kids, we may unintentionally create a blueprint for our children that we don't want. And we have the control of, or at least some of the control of what that blueprint looks like. And we want it. We hopefully all intend for that blueprint to be a healthy one. But if we are completely unconscious of what we bring to the table and how we show up, then we can unintentionally poke holes in that blueprint and create long-term things in that blueprint that maybe are not the best.
Very interesting. So what about the parents that are listening right now? They're saying, oh my God, the blueprint. And I love this because you're speaking the language of the adult chair. This is exactly what I say is we have to model for our children, the healthiest version of self. So jump in that adult chair because these kids are watching you, observing you, being with you, and be healthy so then they can be healthy. But what if we're not so healthy when they're little and forming that blueprint? What happens then?
What happens then is that sometimes we have more work to do, but it's never too late. It's
Mm-hmm.
never too late to have an impact on shifting pieces of that blueprint. So you haven't ruined your children. They're not wrecked. They may just have some pieces of that blueprint that they hold stronger to that we need to help shift over time in how we respond differently to them. And oftentimes I find that with parents who shifted to conscious parenting only in once their kids were teenagers, it becomes a battle. And their kids,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this. This is not like, this feels awkward. I don't understand this, because that's not what they've known. And so it can feel hard to make changes because it's not what our kids are used to. But if we stand firm in what we believe and we fully understand that we want to make small shifts, then we can absolutely do that and impact. Like, we're still shifting our blueprints in our 30s, 40s, 50s for our whole lives. So
Mm-hmm.
if we can shift our blueprints throughout our lives, our kids can too, and they will.
So how do we shift our blueprints?
Oh goodness, that's a great question. I think you probably have more answers on this than
I do have some answers. Yes, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Oop.
for us as parents and as human beings. We have to first understand where we're starting from.
Mhm.
So what is our current blueprint? Examining, well, what are the current belief systems that are the foundation of my life and how I live it, how I respond, how I show up? What are the things that maybe I'm not even aware of that sometimes guide my reactions and how I show up in the world? Things like early life trauma, emotional neglect, little t's, big T's, little t traumas, big T traumas.
Mhm.
It's really looking at, well, where am I today and what's impacting me in terms of who I am today, and what pieces of that do I need to shift? Do I need to let go of intentionally over time to start
Mhm.
a little bit differently? So I think oftentimes what we do is we look at who we are today and we see how far we are from the person we want to become. And it seems like a mountain that we just can't climb. And we're like, it's not worth it. This is who I am now. And I'm just going to keep doing that because it seems
Mhm.
really impossible.
Yeah. So true. The word that occurs to me as you're speaking is awareness. We really need to slow down and become aware of how we're showing up, how we're parenting, how we feel. And when you pay attention to that, then you can turn on that internal or excuse me, not turn it on, but then you're able to slow down and pay attention to our internal navigation system and start tuning into that, and not only live your life like that, but also parent in that way. And that's the healthiest way, because when we're guided by this intuitive, not to sound airy fairy, it is a little bit, but like intuitive, heart based, this consciousness, it's like with great awareness, it really changes everything. We need to be able to catch when I'm triggered, when I'm, oh my gosh, that's something that used to happen to me when I was a child. And now I'm taking it out on my own child, or this is bringing up something for me that I'm not proud of right now, or that I don't know what to do with. So maybe I should go work on that. We need awareness. And with awareness, we can change anything. Anybody can change, but we have to be aware of it first. So,
Yeah. Be
yeah.
willing to go there and
Yeah.
admit that, because sometimes the person we are and the person we think we are not the same.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
And we might respond so nicely when people tell us that we are a certain way when that's not how we see ourselves.
Right.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. I pay attention though. Do you pay attention to when people share things about like how you're showing up? Do
Yes.
you I am always curious if someone were to say, "Hey, I noticed you responded like this or you did that." I'm like, "Really? Let me take a look at that." Because you know what? Here's the thing. We don't know, is it their projection and it's their stuff? Or really is it mine? And I don't know. So I always stop and take a look at it at the very least. Um, how can conscious parenting help your relationship with your kids?
Yeah.
How,
So
how does it help kids
so
in your relationship with them?
when it comes to having a relationship with our kids is well, first we have to ask ourselves, what kind of a relationship do we want to have with our kids, and what kind of relationship do we have now, but it's understanding what makes a healthy relationship. And
Mm,
usually that is, oftentimes that is partnership, that is teamwork, that is empathy with each other's experiences. It's validating experiences. It is coming to a place of understanding. It's not you versus me, it's us versus the problem, right? So, and if we want to have a relationship with our children that allows us to actually have influence over them and the decisions they make and the choices they make throughout life, then we have to be conscious of what kinds of maybe negative things we might be unintentionally bringing to.
mm-hmm.
So we have to examine things like, what are the words that what are my ways of communication? Am I showing up harsh and critical and judgmental, or am I conveying that empathy and understanding that my kids so deeply need and want?
Mm. And another thing, I think about as my kids got older, how much did I even listen? How much was I present and really heard them? We can listen, but we're not hearing, if you know what I mean. Like, and I think when these kids feel really heard, and not judged, it just changes everything. Just then they feel free and they feel validated and they feel safe. So important.
Yeah.
So talk to us about children triggering, and how it really reveals our own wounding.
Absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about y'all listening, but I have two young children, 3.5 and almost 2, and they, though appropriately, they push my buttons, they push boundaries, they say no a lot, they do things that make us late, they do all of these things that you're just like, come on. It doesn't matter what age of kids you have, they do these things, but
Yep.
we find ourselves getting angry or yelling or feeling this intense need to punish or stop a behavior. That is what triggering might be, right? So
Mm.
your kid screams no in your face when you say it's time for bed, and you are like, yes, it's time for bed, like sometimes these triggers, right, they come out of nowhere. Your chest is fiery and you find yourself raising your voice or getting really stern, and you're like, whoa, who was that person? Because
Mhm.
that's me. And it happens in an instant, it happens quickly, and often we think, oh, it's if our kids just weren't so difficult, if they weren't so this, that, the other thing, then I wouldn't show up this way. But when we choose to say, you know what, this is more about me. This, yes, they're helping me get there, but the reason why I got to that place of anger, frustration, rage sometimes is mine. I own that. And they just brought it out of me. So
Mhm.
if we choose to step into that place of me and mine versus them and what they did, then we can choose to look deeper at, well, what was under that for me? What
Yeah.
really under that? And sometimes we won't know right away, but even just asking the question and allowing ourselves to sit with it is like, what was I feeling in that moment? Was I feeling fear? Was I feeling,
Mhm.
was I feeling judgment? What was I feeling? And asking ourselves kind of a hard question, but when did I feel this same feeling earlier in life?
Mhm. Like
And
overwhelmed, disempowered, right? I think about when my kids were toddlers, those were two key statements or key feelings for me, like overwhelmed, disempowered. Like those two little boys, it was just like they were on the go. And you're right. Like I remember saying, come on, we got to go. And then one would be over here and one's over there. And then we're running late. And it's like, it's so stressful. Yeah.
their own agendas. And our young children, I mean, our older kids too, but our young children are extremely egocentric and very
Mm-hmm.
all about me and what I need, because their brains are created to be that way so they can survive.
Yep.
But often is really triggering to us because we can feel unheard. We can feel like we don't matter. We can feel like no one hears me. And that's anger inducing a lot of the time, especially if in early life or even throughout your adult life, you have felt like people don't hear you. And it's
Right.
like scratching a wound and opening it up just a little bit. And if you haven't examined particular experiences of maybe even repressed feelings,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be pressed by your kids time and time again. And until you really work to uncover what's under that for you and get aware of what happens in your body when you feel that way, you can get ahead of slowing down the trigger. Because I don't like the concept of you're never going to eliminate the triggers completely. They're going to be there, but you can work with lessening the
Yeah.
reaction to them, right?
Yeah. We might feel, again, frustrated if the kids are making us late, but we're not going to go into anger and rage, or we're not going to go into throwing things around. When you can get in under the hood of that trigger and really figure out what the heck this is from. And like you said, go back and say, when did I feel this way in my past?
Mm-hmm.
When was this? This is mine. And that's so hard because as humans, we like to blame other people for triggering us versus, wait, could this be mine?
Right. And sometimes, yeah, it's great to acknowledge that people are going to make us angry. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
feelings in us. And sometimes, yes, our kids are being mean or downright disrespectful. And we can't downplay that. And we can set boundaries around behavior that's not acceptable. But we can
Right.
own like that feeling that came up for me was mine and it wasn't their fault.
Yeah, totally get that. I agree. What do you say to parents that are completely overwhelmed? What advice do you have for them?
I first say, I hear you.
Yeah.
This is hard and it is overwhelming.
Yeah.
You
Which
know,
is beautiful because you're validating their experience, because being a parent can be extremely overwhelming. Even if the kids are not making you late, it's just overwhelming. Nobody teaches us this. Like nobody says all of your emotional buttons will be pushed, just so you know. And you're going to lack sleep, and they're going to say no to your face, and you want to like, what?
they're never going to give you a break. They're always going to ask for what they need, and they're never going to ask you what you need. And
Mm-hmm.
the overwhelm, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
what I find with parents is that overwhelm, and same with myself in my moments of overwhelm, that overwhelm almost always comes from a lack of me acknowledging my needs,
Mm.
things in place to help me meet them.
Yeah.
So much of overwhelm. Yes, there is so much on our plate, but as particularly I think as moms or people who play the mom role in a home, we take on so much because that's all we've ever known. That's the role we're supposed to play, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Little by little, more and more gets tacked on, and society makes us feel like we're just supposed to be able to handle all of this and be hunky dory and keep a clean house and take care of ourselves and make sure our kids are healthy and eat well and la la la. And then you're like, I can't.
Yeah.
But when you do feel that, that's a signal that I need to re-examine like what can I control here? What can't I control?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
how to shift some of the pieces I can control to take away some of that extra heavy load I'm carrying. And often that means getting really uncomfortable with delegating, with asking for help, even when you feel like it's impossible to do so. And oftentimes it's also creating new practices of caring for yourself, of prioritizing. I need a shower today. If you're going to be unhappy with that by sitting with the kids, then I need to be okay with your unhappiness so that I can take a shower.
Ooh, that's really good. That's really good. I'm going to be okay with your unhappiness.
And that's super hard because we've been
Mhm.
conditioned. So many of us have been conditioned that other people's feelings to our what we choose to do matters more than how we feel,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yep.
how many times we were shamed by our parents for being selfish because we wanted to do what we wanted to do. And we learned that how other people feel about what we do is more important than how we feel about what we do.
Right. Right. So true. So true. And then we fall into our own shame. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't take a shower then, even though I haven't showered in 2 days. Okay.
I've been there so many times. I'm like, I would rather not shower than listen to my kids scream outside my shower. And
Yeah.
sometimes you make decisions, but part of that overwhelm oftentimes is we let ourselves down time and time again
Right.
in the name of making other people happy.
Yeah. So
Rec-
true. You know what I find though as well, we did a whole month in the membership. I think it was in September, being a self-care. It was all about being a self-care badass. And a big part of what I did with everyone for the whole month was really tapping into what are our needs?
Mhm.
What are your emotional needs? Not just it's physical, yes. Like, what are your true needs? And how do you practice self-care? And it's not just going out and getting a massage or a manicure. It's so much more than that. And it was interesting because many people, that's what we think of self-care. It's like it goes so much deeper. It's like it's the shower. It's yeah, it might be I'm going to go to a yoga class, or I'm going to go meditate, or I'm going to do an art class, or I'm going to go out with my friends tonight, whatever it might be. But we need to get much better at that. I don't think we do a great job at that. And I think I don't want to speak for men because I don't know men as far as the self-care goes, but women specifically, do you find this? Like we aren't great at hitting the pause. I remember when I had clients, I remember asking this woman she had like 5 kids at home. And I said, do you ever just take a bubble bath? And she goes, oh God, no, I could never do that. I said, why not? She goes, I'm just too busy. I said, what would happen if you just took a bubble bath like once a week? And then she started doing that. And she came back to me and she said, oh my God, it's like life changing. It's me time. She said, I was so out of balance, Michelle. And I said, yeah, I know you are. You're way out of balance. I said, and a 20-minute bubble bath, a 30-minute bubble bath is such a beautiful way to recharge. But it's hitting pause and saying, what about me?
Yes.
What do I need? I remember when my kids were young and my husband with his silly little ideas, Dayna, I have to say, he's like, we're not going to say no to the children and they will never watch television. I'm like, really? Okay. And this is when I was at home full time with them. I'm like, we're not saying no to them. Are you kidding me? So when they were little, and then, of course, I was saying no. And sometimes Barney came in. I don't even know if Barney's around anymore, but Barney was around when my kids were little, 20 years ago. And I'd pop Barney in for an hour and I'm like, yay, I get to lay down on the couch and take a nap, and then I had gone away for the weekend and I came back and he goes, just so you know, he said, we're saying no. And when they do watch TV once in a while, I said, okay, great.
You're like,
You have great ideas until you have to sit down and do it because it's hard work, man. I mean,
it is. It is. It is so hard. And we're so caught up in asking and focusing on what everyone else needs because we
yeah,
have to do that as moms, but that we forget to do it for ourselves, or even deeper than that, if no one ever modeled that for us or
yeah,
even asked us as kids, then we never thought to think about, well, what do I need? Because
right,
our worth and our identity is so ingrained in what we do for others. But
right.
what we find in the throes of motherhood, when there's so much on your shoulders, is that you reach that point of overwhelm and burnout, and I can't do this when you're not prioritizing your needs or even asking and doing even small things to show yourself like what I need and what I want matters
Yeah.
just as much as what everyone else wants and needs.
So true. And by the way, let's go back to this. It's called living consciously.
Yes.
It's being aware of not just parenting, but of self-care. What do I need? Only you know what you need. Like you can't put that on someone else. And what I need, you may not need. And what's important to me may not be important to you, but we have to take time and do that. Um, I want to, before we go, I want to go back to this conscious parenting and really help parents that are listening. How do we do that? Again, as the children, what does that mean? Like, I want some concrete examples because I don't want people to leave here like, okay, I sort of get it. Like, conscious parenting is what does that look like from toddlers to teenagers to 20-year-old kids?
Right.
What does that look like? Give us some examples.
Absolutely. So there's so many ways we can consciously parent, but there's some some key things that we can constantly think about, no matter how old our kids are.
Mhm.
And that is being reasonable in your expectations of your kids, is asking yourselves, is what I'm expecting of my kids to do, say, be able to do, think, or be, is it actually in line with what they're capable of at this time, or
Mhm.
just how I think they should be? And
Mhm. Yeah.
fine making requests over and over and over again of your children and they can't meet them, that's a really good sign that your expectations might be a little too high. And it's not that you shouldn't have expectations, you absolutely should, but you've got to be able to baseline put them at an expectation level that, you know, a 3-year-old could meet, a 5-year-old could meet, a 14-year-old could meet.
Yeah.
Knowing the expectations is, you know, doing even just a little bit of research on understanding the different phases of development with your kids, and a little bit of brain science here and there. You don't have to be a neuroscientist to know that a 3-year-old is not going to be capable of stopping themselves from throwing a toy down the stairs, even after you told them 3 times.
Right.
Love that. We would love it.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's not within the realm of accurate expectations. And so allowing our children to growing, you know, to grow naturally and giving them targets that are age appropriate and fair will help you get less reactive and angry, and will help them feel more successful in life. And so many times when we put these high expectations on our kids, they feel like failures all the time.
Oh, so that's such a good point. When we put the expectations on our kids and they don't meet our expectations, they become failures. But here's the ironic part. They didn't want to do what we wanted them to do anyway.
Yep.
So often they didn't even want to do it. So we've got to really watch that. When I think about, again, I want to break this down even further. Conscious parenting, and please correct me, add to it, because I really like to break things way down. So conscious parenting to me is like when the child comes to us and they're born, it's like we're given this beautiful little flower.
Yeah.
And or a bulb, let's say a flower bulb. And then our job is to water it and make sure it gets sunlight and let it bloom or grow and bloom into something beautiful. But we can't force it. You can't make it grow faster. You can't make it look, if it's a peonies like behind your head, the lovely peonies. You can't make, who knows what color the thing's going to be. You know, you just let it become whoever it is here to become. And we don't know. That's the thing. We don't know who our kids are here to become. Our job as parents is to become the guardrails for these kids, not drive in their car with them as they're going down their life path, but guardrails, which is very, very different. And so many parents jump in the car and start driving their kids' car. And it's like, no, 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 let them. They're
Right.
here to become somebody. They're here to, they have a beautiful life purpose. They have a mission. And when we get in the way, we block that sometimes from our kids, from letting our kids bloom. So it is about letting go. And I love this. Drop the expectations. Now, it's not to say, you know, I really don't want you to fail out of school. So there's a gray zone. It's not this black and white. You know, it's like, okay, this is what we expect in our house.
Mhm.
We're going to go to bed around this time. It doesn't mean if you're not in bed by 9:01, then you're going to get punished, but we want you in bed around 9. Or as you get older, this is the curfew. So, but we want to be outside of kids. And I liken parenting to kids driving down an expressway. So when the child is born, they're on a 1-lane expressway and we are the guardrails. And then as they get older, the expressway gets wider and wider and wider. And by the time they leave for college and then some in their 20s, they're on a 20-lane expressway and we're still the guardrails way out here, but we're not in the car driving. That's conscious parenting. We let them take gymnastics and drop out of gymnastics if they really don't want to do it. But it doesn't mean we don't have a conversation about gymnastics. It doesn't mean we don't question if they're quitting for no reason. You know, we have those conversations, but we don't get in the way.
Yes.
Is that it? Would you agree with this? Disagree? Please let me know. Okay.
No, 100%. And akin to the flower analogy, we are there to create the environment in which they can bloom and
Mhm.
flourish.
Yep.
So when a flower is not growing, we don't yell at the flower and punish it. We are like, okay, what's going on around it that is inhibiting this development? And we think the same about our children's behavior. Anything that's going on in our children's lives, their behaviors, the way they're talking, when they're not doing things, when they are doing things, instead of controlling and punishing and using punitive tactics to manipulate behavior, we come alongside our kids and we partner and say, what's up? What's going on?
Yes. Again, it goes back to listening. Share with me what's going on. What do you need? Something's going on. And listen to them. And this goes back to, wait, I'm just trying to think, was I speaking with you about this or someone else? I think I was speaking with someone else about this earlier today. We were talking about, hold on, let me get it back. It was like when you pick up your kids, let's say from wherever, and they get in the car and they had a crappy day at school, at dance, at baseball, or whatever the heck it was. How do you as a parent respond? What would a conscious parent do?
Yeah. A conscious parent says, you give them a conscious parent in most cases is going to give them a little time to calm down. And when you get home, you might offer them a hearty snack, and you might sit next to them and say, I feel like you might be a little sad today. What's going on?
Yeah. Like a conscious parent listens. We're there. We show up. We're not triggered when our children are triggered. We don't need to fix anything. We don't need to shut them down. If they're angry and they get in the car and they're really angry that someone really hurt them that day, let them be angry. A conscious parent, remember, is out here with those guardrails, like let them be whatever emotion they're having. And as parents, we need to learn how to allow our kids to have feelings and emotions and not fix a damn thing. Like just be with them in it and ask them what they need and let them know, I'm sorry about your day. I'm here to listen, not fix.
Yeah. Us too, because that's what so many of us experienced ourselves as kids. And that's all we know is like, oh, problem, I need to fix it. It's like, oh, if my kid is sad, if my kid is overwhelmed, I need to make them not overwhelmed. And when we come alongside them and put trust in them that they're capable of handling it with support, and they don't want us to fix it. They are capable of coming up with their own solutions. If we come alongside them and say, how can we work together to find a solution? What do you think would help you in this situation?
Yes. That creates kids that are resilient, because when they leave our home, we want them to be able to feel their emotions, to process, to then find their own, we want them to problem solve if we're not there by chance, Yes. So such good stuff. Thank you, Dayna. Anything else you want to add about conscious parenting or triggers or anything like that?
I think the thing I'll add about conscious parenting is that there is no one way to be a perfect conscious parent. And there isn't. Even all the coaches who call themselves parent experts, they're not experts either. Mm-hmm. We all have terrible days where we react and do the wrong things. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It means that you're a human with things that maybe you need to focus more on, and that's okay. We are as conscious as we have the capability of being in any moment, and that changes day by day based upon what we're experiencing, how much we have, or how much stress we're under. So developing self-compassion for the moments when you fail and fail and fail again is key to helping you really thrive in conscious parenting.
And I just want to add to that, parenting is one of the hardest jobs there is. So please be kind with yourself. Give yourself grace. We are all trying our very best to raise these little young creatures, these little beautiful babies, and it's freaking hard work. So please don't judge, don't blame yourself. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Okay. Thank you, Miss Dayna. How would people find you? We know Instagram.
Yes. Yeah. So you can find me online at daynaciarfalia.com. That is my website. And then I hang out most frequently on Instagram at The Conscious Healing Mama.
And I'll put all those links in the show notes. So thank you, my darling. It was so nice to have you on today. I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you.
All right. Hope you all enjoyed that show with Miss Dayna. We had a lot of fun, of course. Don't forget, Come join us in the membership, theadultchair.com/membership. If you're looking for a way to connect, not just with me, but other great, great people that are doing some really good work on themselves and with themselves. And this whole month, we're working on stepping into our unique selves and really owning it and embracing it. Yeah. And letting the world see us a little bit more. It's a really, really powerful month. And it's a great way to stay connected to yourself throughout the holidays. So theadultchair.com/membership. I look forward to seeing you in there. And you guys have a beautiful week. Happy Thanksgiving. And I'll see you seated right here next week in the Adult Chair. Have a great week, everybody.